The other film this week is Evolution. This is directed by, and I need to get this right, Lucile Hadžihalilović. I think that was right. Her last film was Innocence in 2005, and she's married to Gaspar Noé. Gaspar Noé, for those who aren't aware, is a filmmaker who has made such things as Love, as Enter the Void, very peculiar, heavily sexual films. We were going to go see Love at the Tyneside earlier this year, and we bottled it because it was a one-off sort of Q&A screening. It was going to be really busy because it's quite a popular film. The whole thing is really, really sexually explicit.
Yeah.
And it was bad enough going to see 50 Shades as three teenage boys. To go and see a film with real sex in it didn't seem right.
No.
It didn't seem appropriate. I don't think. See, if you like awkwardness, I'm not a fan. I'm not. I mean, it's a different kind.
I don't like that. There's awkwardness, and then there's this
perversion.
Get away from that. Yeah.
So we didn't see Love. I think we may invest in the Blu-ray and watch it at some point, so we can talk about it because we are cute, but curious isn't the word.
I mean, that's quite. I mean, seeing it in the cinema would probably been okay, but like maybe buying the Blu-ray and then having the three of you get together.
I think we'd chip in each and would share it around.
Right, not watch.
Surely we
wouldn't
not
the same
watch
screen
it in my room.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I
mean, whatever you want to do.
We probably
not wrong with that.
We probably did miss a trick seeing it in the cinema because I remember how grotty I felt watching Nymphomaniac.
Yeah.
The Lars von Trier film at home. Yeah, well, it wasn't fun. It's a good. They're fine films, but they're so uncomfortable to watch. And there's always the thought, like, oh, your mum could walk in because I know she was in the house when I watched it. I was like, at any point she could walk in and see what I'm watching.
At least you know in advance what that's like, the content, because it would be more good if you're like, let's sit down. It's Friday night. Let's watch this.
I remember there was something like a cinema in a different country. And it was a kids' film, and they accidentally showed a trailer for Nymphomaniac like as part of the ad reel. I can't even imagine. Even the green, if there is a green band trailer, I imagine it's still pretty heavy going.
I live in fear of that. I live in fear of that on a daily basis of that happening.
So yeah, this director is married to Gaspar Noé. God only knows what that must be like. The plot is, and again, this is another film I really. Summarising the plot is going to be difficult because there's so much I don't want to give away, and also there's so much I don't understand even to this day, like a few days later after seeing it. So what I gather, well, this is fact, and then whatever happens after that, I don't know. So it's an island inhabited only by young boys and women who are their mothers, and the reproductive system is different, and it's only the young boys who bear children. So they have fetuses that are put in them through surgery, and then they're like taken back out again through like incubator tank things.
Okay.
So there's one boy in particular, Nicholas. He's the only boy who kind of wants to do something about it and wants to like sort of know what's going on and why he has like babies grown inside him. And he sort of he escapes his room and he finds something rather peculiar in the sea. That triggers a chain of events. So a lot of the film is set in a sort of medical facility, which is already a pretty bad sign. So it's a eerie horror thriller, which kind of, you think, like, have you seen Under the Skin?
Yeah.
It's a bit like Under the Skin.
Okay.
Tonally, aesthetically, it's got the same sort of dreamy montage sequences that Under the Skin has. So you can there's some parts you can really, really get lost in because it's just so tranquil and beautiful, but also really terrifying at the same time. So it's the same with all the Scarlett Johansson sort of Black Void scenes.
Yeah.
You've got these ocean scenes. You've got for the start of the film is just with the credits. It's just about 3 or 4 minutes of just the camera sort of swimming through the ocean, seeing all the sort of creatures of the sea and the way it looks and the way it feels. The sound design in this film is extraordinary. You get the sort of the gurgling of the sea and of the crustaceans and then you get these scenes where you've got the kids in the incubators and they've got the babies sort of looking at them from, and it's scary. Like it's so unsettling and creepy. But at the same time, it's oddly beautiful, and that's kind of where the comparison to Under the Skin comes from, because it manages to sort of balance the beauty and the horror really well. I had so many questions about this film, and I don't think they'll ever be answered. And I think that the idea of the film is that it doesn't have an answer to the questions. I think everything is there because the director had a vision of what she wanted to put on the screen, of how she wanted us to feel. I think she wanted us to feel baffled and confused, but I think the takeaway from the film is how beautiful it is and how horrible it is at the same time. That's kind of what I took from it.
Yeah.
It's a relatively short film at like 1:20, so it's like 80 minutes. It's shorter than your average film. It doesn't. It possibly outstays its welcome, actually, because there's so much you don't understand. There's so much stuff going on that just doesn't make much sense. That eventually you get to the point where you're like, right, I want something that makes sense to happen now.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, there are some films that get away with being completely random and baffling, but this kind of, at some point you want something to make sense. I feel like it never really does, and that's what stops me from like loving this film. The fact that nothing adds up and never shows any sign of doing so.
So is it like science fiction, or is it like a horror or a thriller? What like, where would it fit?
It kind of goes through all three of those, because there's a whole thing about with it being in the ocean. Everything's got a sort of ocean feel to it. There's, you know, the little boys eat this sort of like black inky like mush that it's food, but it's also called medicine to them, and that kind of all adds up with the fact that, you know, he's got something living inside him. All these little boys just sort of in this facility, constantly going through operations and stuff, and there's this one nurse there who takes a shine to Nicholas and kind of helps him with his escape, and wants to sort of take him out of this pretty horrible and pretty grueling life of just being worked on all the time, just being operated on constantly, and that causes some pretty interesting scenes, to say the least. The fact that like none of them believe that their mothers are their real mothers, and it's very possible that is the case, that their mothers aren't their mothers, and they're all just born because of this process of churning out children. I still don't know. I think as I was sitting watching the film, I was kind of going, what on earth is going on? I do like it though, simply because of how beautiful it looks and feels, and how uncomfortable it made me feel. But I wanted, and I don't say this much, I kind of wanted to know a little bit more. Yeah. Which I don't think, I don't really say much about these kind of films, but I did here. Okay. Which is disappointing. But on the whole, for a film like this that I was looking forward to, I think it does what it's intending. Yeah. And that's fine.
It doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like a Friday night.
No.
Let's go to the cinema, it's Friday night film. No.
We all left in silence. Yeah. In stony silence.
No one's allowed to talk, yeah.
It was pretty heavy going. It was pretty rough going, and I don't think I'll ever get it. It's only been shown 3 times this week, and I don't think it'll make a comeback. Right. Just because it's one of those films that's so insecure, like not insecure, obscure. Yeah. That I don't think it's gonna put many bums on seats. But it might make its way across to Blu-ray at some point. I know Ryan was really looking forward to seeing it, but he hasn't had a chance to, and I know he would like to see it at some point. So hopefully it makes its way to DVD or Blu-ray, and we can talk about it again.
That sounds very interesting.
It's interesting to say the least, but I just don't know what it meant. That's fine, but I don't know.
Sometimes that just means it requires a second watch, either a third watch, because with stuff like that, it can be like a lot to kind of just take in one like 80-minute sitting. Yeah. And then you kind of left thinking, well, what do I do? What do I do with everything you've just told us in 80 minutes? So yeah. I guess a lot of that kind of would work on a repeated viewing.
I would like to see it again. I'd prefer to see it in the cinema. I mean, with all things, I'd prefer to see it in the cinema, just because of how nice the sound is and how good the picture is. That you can't really recreate that at home. No, not always.